Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last class on polity and constitution. I hope I'm audible as well as visible. Uh, Channa Baswa, sir, what about governance class? Governance class will be taken by governance faculty when the program is scheduled. Don't worry, you have the year-long schedule, right? So you can see in that the governance classes are largely scheduled towards the later part because it's a mains oriented topic, not a prelims oriented topic. Good morning, good morning. We'll wait for those to join, give them a couple of minutes, and then we'll begin the discussion. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. In the meantime, others can keep on joining. So, as far as yesterday was concerned, we began our discussion on the note of understanding Article 15. And Article 15, of course, is a pretty smaller one. And when it comes to the fundamental rights in the country, a few of them are only available to citizens, like 15, 16, 19, 29, and 30. Other rights are available to everybody. And 15 is one of them. So 15 talks about no discrimination on RRCSP. 16 talks about no discrimination on RRCSP and descent and place of residence. But a big difference is Article 15 relates largely to non-discrimination in general and also educational institution reservation. But Article 16 relates to non-discrimination in public employment and reservation in government jobs. That is 16 clause 4. And we also have reservation in promotion for SC/STs only. That is 16 clause 4A. Then Article 17, untouchability. Article 18, abolition of titles. That's it. These were right to equality. Then right to freedom, 19, 20, 21. So Article 19 was a very big one because it has 6 clauses, and clauses have restrictions, and restrictions are important, right? So article makes no sense. Freedom of speech and expression, so nice, amazing, that's it. But what is more important is to know the restrictions on the freedom of speech and expression. So restrictions are important, and we have seen questions in prelims as well from those restrictions. Then we also saw, of course, the Article 20, which comprises of 3 parts: no self-incrimination being the third one, no double jeopardy being the second one, and the first one, of course, is no ex post facto law. Then Article 21. Article 21 talks about the most important right, that is right to life and personal liberty. Of course, without that, we do not have, I mean, if you're not alive only, what else do you have? So, right to life is the most important article, and that is why, you know, the Janata Party 1978 rectified the Supreme Court's error in the ADM Jabalpur case and has modified the emergency provisions of Article 359 to state that your right to move to court for Article 20 and 21 will never be suspended. So, of course, these two rights will always remain with us. Okay, so now let's continue our discussion further on the same point we had left at the last topic, that was Article 21, capital A, which is right to education. So this is capital A. So normally when you have capital A, what is the meaning of that? It means it has been added later on, right? Like in the case of panchayats, 243, 243A, B, C, D. These are all later additions. So 21A, of course, has been added later on. This was added through the 86th Amendment Act of 2002. This was the Amendment Act of 2002. And what is this? Article 21A, right to education. So the state shall provide free and compulsory education. State shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of the age 6 to 14, right? In a manner as the state may by law determine. So may by law, meaning as of now there is no provision, but in future the parliament can make a law and decide on how to provide education. So we know very well, when any right leaves some room, some scope in future for the parliament to decide on details, these are examples of a non self executory rights. Okay, so these rights need the parliament's intervention for execution. This is Article 21A. Of course, a law has been made, a very popular law called RTE Act, or the full form of the law is Right of Children. Look at this, right of children to free and compulsory education, also called the RTE Act. Right of children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009. So this is with respect to right to education. I hope this point is clear, right? Now, just to point this out, though we'll be discussing or at least looking at this later on as well, the same Amendment Act, which one? 86th Amendment Act, has made 3 changes in the Constitution. All 3 relate to the same topic. Change number 1 is it has added one separate article, as we can see here. Okay, that's 21 capital A, right to education. Second is it has also modified what we know as DPSPs, Article 45. So it has not added Article 45, it has just modified it. Basically, originally Article 45 referred to kids being sent to school, and it said that the state shall endeavor to provide for uh, education to all kids between the age of 6 to 14. Endeavor means to strive, take effort to provide. Now, since we have made that a fundamental right, the next target of the state or the government of India and government of states is that the state shall endeavor to provide early childhood care and education, ECCE, until they complete the age of 6 years. Early childhood care and education for all children. So, if you look at the current situation, all these private schools have play school. So, whenever now a kid turns 2, 3, the kid is sent to a play school to learn the basics. And then class 1, 2, 3 begin, right? So we have the concept of play school now, even before actual school begins. I mean, of course, you see how the education has become so important that, and also parents are pushing their kids to do a lot of things. Abhi, the summer camp is going on, in every school, summer camp, learn this, learn that. Whether the kid wants to learn or not, nobody asks the kid. It's like, come on. And the age to prepare for things is going down significantly, right? So now the parents see that the kid has to enter school at the earliest. And of course, it does give an advantage to a kid who has gone to a play school. They are more social, they know stuff, basic information, learning abilities are very quick at that age. So why not the same advantage to be extended to the government schools as well? So next target, whenever the government has money and resources, the next target is going to be to provide for ECCE, that is early childhood care and education, till they complete the age of 6 years, that is 0 to 6. And third, at the same time, with the same Amendment Act, 86th Amendment Act 2002, one more change was made. So we have something called fundamental duties. We'll discuss today only, later on. One more duty was added. This duty is the duty of every parent. So it shall be the duty of every citizen of India who is a parent or a guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child, or as the case may be, ward, between the age 6 to 14. So basically, the state will provide for free education, and the parents have a duty to send their kids to school, 6 to 14. Right? Okay. Moving on. Article 22, the last article under the provisions of right to equality is Article 22, and this is protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. So I believe a lot of you know this, that the moment the police arrests you, they have to inform you the grounds of arrest. What is the reason? What are the grounds of arrest? So you have a right to be informed. So next time the police arrests you, please ask them, why are you arresting me? Reason. They may slap you and all, but you would need to ask this, and you should ask this. At least it's your fundamental right. Apart from this, in these Hollywood movies especially, they show that the person says after getting arrested, I'll talk to my lawyer only. I'll speak only to my lawyer. Of course. How? This is a right that we also have. So next time the police arrests you, you can say, I'll only talk to my lawyer. They may slap you further, but you can talk to your lawyer. You have a right to a legal practitioner. So somebody who practices law, you have a right to consult them when you are arrested. This is your fundamental right. And once the police arrests you, they have a right, you have a right to be taken to the court within 24 hours of the arrest. The police cannot keep you for a long period of time in the lockup. They have to take you to court within 24 hours. And then the court will decide whether you will be subject to some judicial custody or not. So the court decides. The police cannot hold you in a lockup for more than 24 hours. Of course, it excludes journey time. Journey time meaning the time it takes for the policeman to take you from the jail or take you from the police lockup to the court. That time is excluded. Beyond that, 24 hours of time. These three rights are meant for everybody. Okay. But these three rights may not be given to certain categories of people. Who are these people? Number one, this right will not be given to enemy alien. Who is an enemy alien? Enemy alien is that person who belongs to a country, wherein India has officially declared a war. So this is what is with respect to the denial of right to those people, meaning those people do not enjoy these three things. Apart from it, This same advantage of these three things will not be given to people arrested under PDL. So people arrested under preventive detention laws will not have the advantage, the benefit of getting to know the reasons for arrest, right? Secondly, they may not be given a legal practitioner to consult. Third, they may not be taken to court. So that is also the case. Okay. Now, what is this concept of preventive detention? So, preventive detention, this term, tell me, what is the meaning of preventive detention? Anyone? Anyone who is interested in sharing their information? Nikhil, they detain for 90 days. No, 90-day detention is also only after the court issues the order of detention. Without that, see, when the police arrests you, it has to take you to court. The court can order 90 days of detention, and then the police can file the charge sheet in front of the court. That 90 days time is given. Okay. Yes, prevent. Great. Arresting somebody before they actually commit a crime. That is the whole concept of preventive detention. That you arrest somebody before they actually commit a crime. So detentions are basically of two kinds. One is punitive. What is punitive detention? So normally what you see is punitive detention only after a crime has been committed. Detention after crime committed. But preventive, as the word says, preventing somebody from committing a crime. So arrest or imprisonment of a person in anticipation of a crime is called preventive detention. Okay. Now, on what grounds can preventive detention be done? So this PD or preventive detention can be done on the four following grounds. One is to maintain the security of the state. If your actions can threaten the security of the state, then of course. Number two, maintenance of public order. If your actions threaten public order, of course. Number three, maintenance of supplies of essential services. So in case you're found to be black marketing, let's say during pandemic, you're black marketing oxygen cylinders, this could be a problem. And foreign affairs or security of India. If your actions might threaten foreign affairs or the security of the country, then we will detain you even before you can think of committing a crime. Now, who can make laws on preventive detention? So, laws on PD can be made both by center and states. Why? Because PD as a topic is in the union list, entry number 9, and also concurrent list, entry number 3. That is why both center and states have the power to make laws on preventive detention. Okay. What is state mean in this? States are the states that you see. The problem with our country's understanding of states creates a confusion in some innocent minds here. So when we refer to state, not the plural form, state, This state refers to a political entity, right? The government, which controls the use of force of law, which establishes laws, administers the entire nation, that is state, right? State means the entire country. The governing structure of the country is called state. It could mean state government, it could mean central government, everything is state. Okay? When we say states, we are referring to the provinces, the regional government. So normally they are called provinces in most countries, right? So had we used the word provinces, it would have been much better for future generations to understand the difference. But I don't think it's a big deal now. I hope you understand. So that's it. Anyway, moving on to further understanding. So what happens under preventive detention? As I said, please understand the entire structure of how police works. Let's say you go to the police right now to file a complaint. They will take your letter, whatever you write, okay, your application, and they'll take the application first and they'll come and inquire. That is called preliminary inquiry. After the inquiry is done and they are ascertained of the application content, whatever you wrote, let's say some robbery, etc., then they'll take the complaint in their register, right? First investigation report is filed, and based on some investigations, they can arrest somebody. The moment they arrest somebody, within 24 hours, they take them to the court, nearest court, the judicial magistrate's court. Now the police can say, sir, we want to detain this person further because if we leave this person out, there could be some problem. So the court says, okay, police remand 14 days. And now you are in jail for 14 days. After 14 days, within 14 days, police can prepare an entire chart sheet, place all the evidence in front of you. Or the police can say, sir, we want more time. Okay, 30 days. That can be done, but by the judge, not the police. Police has no power to punish you. Okay, police's only task is to nab an accused and take them to court. Court will punish you, not the police. Police has no authority to punish you. They are not the authority to punish. Judiciary's task is to punish. Anyway, so normally what happens that the police cannot keep you with them for more than 1 day, 24 hours. For a single minute above 1 day, they need the permission of the judicial magistrate, the judge. But under preventive detention, the police can arrest you and keep you for up to 3 months. 3 months without taking you to the court, without even telling you why they have arrested you. If the police feels that by telling you why they have arrested you, it can further threaten the security of the country, they will say, we will not tell you why we have arrested you. You need not tell the reasons also. Look at the exception to the rights. I mean, we understand that our rights are not absolute and there are exceptions, but don't you think this exception is a bit too much? Randomly arresting somebody and keeping them for 3 months. Now, within these 3 months, the police has to take the person and present them in front of an advisory board. That is called the judicial advisory board because it comprises of members who are or may have been or are qualified to become a high court judge. So somebody who is a high court judge, or somebody who was a high court judge, or somebody who is qualified to be a high court judge. And then that advisory board, this advisory board is going to tell the police that, okay, arrest can continue, or can say, sorry, you take him to court, file a charge sheet. What allegation is there? Show me evidence. You take the matter to court. Don't arrest him like this. So this will be decided by the advisory board. Now, what can be the maximum punishment or maximum jail, maximum sentence, or the maximum period of arrest? Period of detention. This will be decided by Parliament by law. So there are various laws where detention period varies. Example, there is a law called NSA, National Security Act 1980. There it is 1 year. There is a law called PSA 1978, Public Safety Act in Jammu and Kashmir. Here it's 2 years. For 2 years, the police can keep you in the lockup, in the jail, without even telling you why they have arrested you, without even taking you to court. And who decides all this? All this is decided by the advisory board recommendation and a law made by the parliament. Okay, so this is the advisory board. This section is a very weird section, because lot of people do say that why is this or this provision present in the fundamental rights? I mean, this is not an exception, it is sheer harassment of the public. And let me add to it, people who have been arrested under some PDL. What is PDL? Preventive detention law. Like I said here, NSA is a law where you can be arrested, or PSA is a law, Public Safety Act, where you can be arrested. So what happens? Even if you are arrested under some law and advisory board has advised that okay, continue arrest, no problem, right? This 3 month maximum is without anybody's permission. Okay, without anybody's permission. But let's say NSA says that you can be arrested for 1 year, so that extra arrest requires permission of the advisory board. Okay, only then can the arrest continue. Now, even though you are arrested under PDL, you may have some kind of rights. For example, as soon as possible, you will be told, communicated the ground of arrest. What is meant by as soon as possible? Never. If you tell police that, or think of yourself only, if I tell you as soon as possible, write 5 answers, that means never. Of course, same thing here. Then you will also be given an opportunity to represent yourself in front of the judiciary. But when? Earliest opportunity. Imagine you go to your father and say, Dad, I want a mobile phone. And your father says, at the earliest opportunity, as soon as I find time. Hey, that means no only. You tell him directly, say no. Don't do all this excuse. Right? So this is there. Preventive detention. Arey, Tanu, come on here. We have a right to know, but the whole point is that this right is not available to people who are arrested here, na? Understand this. The right that you have to know is not available if you are arrested under some preventive detention laws. So that right is gone. This is an exception to fundamental right. Please, exception. So this is there with respect to preventive detention laws. Look at these examples. These are all examples of various laws in the country which are called PDLs. Various such laws. Some are there, some no longer exist. Okay. Now, first things first, when it comes to PDA, there is a law called PD 1950, which expired in 69. Or the very famous MISA, used to harass everybody, jail people in the emergency. It was repealed, cancelled in 78. Okay. Then COFE POSA. COFE POSA is a law to prevent smuggling. So back in 1970s and all, if you see the movies of 1970s, the biggest criminals were all smugglers. Smugglers were just not paying tax. That's it. Who is a smuggler? Somebody who smuggles goods without paying tax is a smuggler. So COFE POSA is a law. Then NSA. It's called NSA, NASA, whatever you may call it. It's okay. But preferably NSA. That would be more appropriate. Then TADA. TADA was a very dangerous law under which even Sanjay Dutt was arrested. It's no longer there now. Or this law called Prevention of Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. This law, the Aryan Khan case. Then POTA. POTA was a law, again repealed. Achha, tell me something about POTA. Any interesting fact that you know about POTA? Let's see. Any interesting fact about POTA? Nothing. Silent. Completely silent. POTA is same as UPA. Oh, how sweet. JNK. Once one up down. Parliament attack. Yes, yes. But anything special about POTA? POTA was the last ever bill to be passed through a what? Joint sitting. Remember, 3 cases of joint sitting. Dowry Prohibition Act. Number 2, the banking repeal bill. And number 3 is POTA. The third and the last bill to be passed under a joint sitting. Which article is joint sitting? Please write the article. Don't waste time, quickly. Okay. It's 108, not 88, 108. Article 108 is joint sitting. Great. Now, whenever PD order or preventive detention order is going to be issued, you have to follow some tests. See, when you want to issue a preventive detention order, you have to also have this guaranteed reason, reliable material with the police, right, that the person may get bail. Normally what happens when we arrest somebody, normally under legal recourse, the person can apply for bail and can get bail. The advantage of PD is that the person cannot now go out, no bail. Why? Because formally you can't approach judiciary. If I get arrested for some crime, then I can get a bail also, right? I can go out on bail. But if I'm arrested under PD, then there's no option of bail. So when you are actually issuing a preventive detention order, you have to be very, very sure that there is a genuine chance of the person being arrested to get a bail. Because what we want is to prevent the person from roaming here and there and committing a crime. So we want to arrest the person. And then you should have this reason to believe that once this person is released, this person would in all likelihood indulge in some kind of prejudicial activity, some kind of activity which hampers the public order in the country. And lastly, if it is felt essential to detain the accused to prevent him from doing so, a crime. So, if you feel that there is no way out, we have to arrest the person in order to prevent them from disturbing public order. Only after these 3 reasons are justified and satisfied should a preventive detention arrest be made. Don't arrest people randomly. This was said by Supreme Court way back in 1990. There's a case called Kamarun Nisa case. So Kamarun Nisa case was a case where some people were involved in smuggling of drugs and gold, etc. So in that situation, it was said the triple test was given. So only then will you be given a preventive detention. Number 1, if arrested normally, the person may get bail, or this person, if released, will definitely commit a crime. And number 3, we have no other option left, and PD is the last option left. These 3 are the triple tests. Okay, Abhinav? The triple test explained again. Clear? So this is with respect to the triple test on preventive detention. So basically, Supreme Court has tried to maintain that safeguard concept that please use it only in extreme circumstance. But on the ground, things are different, right? Reality differs. When people can be shot on live camera, then hundreds of things can go wrong in the country. Anyway, now moving on to the next category of rights, just two rights, Article 23, Article 24. So firstly, this is right against exploitation. So what is Article 23? Article 23 says prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor. So traffic in human beings and begar and any other similar form of forced labor are completely prohibited. And contravention of this provision, meaning if anybody does anything against this provision, then that will be an offense punishable in accordance with law. Okay, so a law has to be made in case it is found that you are trafficking people. What is traffic in human beings? Traffic in human beings means all these things. Traffic in human beings, we'll discuss all the terms, don't worry. Traffic in human beings means buying and selling of men, women, and children like commodities. Okay? Traffic means to buy and sell. Traffic in human beings also includes immoral traffic of women and children, including prostitution. So, as I said, an individual selling sex for money, there is no crime involved there, but it cannot be run as a group activity. Okay. Then slavery, no longer. And Devdasi. What is Devdasi? So, basically, in some parts of our country, there was a very old ancient concept of girls being devoted to the temple, being married to the god. That was the concept of Devdasi. So kids girls before attaining puberty, they would be sent and they would now remain in the temple for their entire life and would be married to God, serving the needs of the temple, upkeep, maintenance, etc. of the temple. But later on, what happened? Like, most things. So originally, every religion will have some very nice things to say, because most people who have found some religion or etc. have been great men of great insight, etc. But it's the followers who cause a problem. That's a real challenge. So it was found that a lot of priests, what they did was they would exploit these women who were now Dev Dasi. Dev is the Lord, Dasi is with respect to slave. So they would exploit them, sexually harass them, and it became more like a prostitution thing. So now no more concept of this Devdasi should exist in the country. If it does, then you can be punished under this law. See, again, offense shall be an offense punishable in accordance with a law. Again, an example of a what? Non self executory right. Why? Because we need a separate law to punish people who get involved in all these things. Just because I say no, don't get involved in slavery, does not mean you will not. We have to impose some punishments through some law. What is the law? There are two laws. One is uh, ITPA, Suppression of Immoral Traffic Act, originally called this, later on renamed into Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, ITPA. Originally, this law was called Suppression of Immoral Traffic Act. Why was it renamed? If you observe the abbreviation of the law, SITA, Sita. So Hindu goddess. So we said, no, rename this. What is this nonsense? Rename it. So it was renamed to ITPA. Secondly, there is also a law called Bonded Labor System Abolition Act. But before that, understand what is begar, what is bonded labor. See, when it comes to begar, begar means unpaid work. Unpaid work. When your parents ask you to go and fill up the water bottles in fridge or whatever, they don't pay you a single penny. That is called unpaid work. That is called begar. When you have to work compulsorily with no remuneration, that's begar. Okay. Now, what is forced labor? Forced labor means when you are compelling somebody to work against their will. Maybe some money is paid, but the person does not want to work. Like you are studying here, you are being forced into studying. That is forced labor, right? Against your will. Maybe your parents are telling you that please study, have nice food here, drink Complan, drink protein, etc. Everything is being given to you. You are being bribed, nice food, etc. But you are being forced into studies. That's forced labor. So begar and forced labor. Now it is not allowed. So if anybody forces you, you know very well that these things are not allowed. I hope this point is clear. Okay. So begar means what? Compulsory work without remuneration. Forced labor, compelling a person to work against his will. These two things. Okay. Now, begar is a kind of forced labor. Yes, begar can be seen as a kind of forced labor where no money is being paid. Okay. Forced labor may involve payment of money. Begar does not involve any payment of money. Now, nobody can force you to work, etc., against your will. But the state can. Let's read. Nothing in this article shall prevent the state. So, people cannot force you, but the state can force you. State from imposing compulsory service for public purposes. So, state can impose compulsory service on you for a public purpose. And in imposing such service, the state will not discriminate on grounds only of religion, race, caste, class. Meaning, the state will not discriminate against any person while imposing compulsory service based on whether he is a Hindu or a Muslim, or whatever race he belongs to, whatever caste he belongs to, whatever economic class he belongs to. So basically, why will state force compulsory service? A very typical example is conscription. What is conscription? Military service. So today, India can, let's say we have a war with Pakistan. India can say that, come on, all males above 18, come on, males. Can it do this? Can it discriminate on the basis of gender? Yes, it can, because sex is not mentioned here. But can the government say, all the Hindus, come on, now you have to fight? No, you can't. You can't say all Hindus, because you cannot discriminate on the basis of religion. You can't say all the Brahmins you have to fight, or all the poor people you have to fight. Sorry. But you can say all women you have to fight, all men you have to fight. That you can do. Okay. Actually, one more thing. Compulsory service. And see, this compulsory military service is there in various countries. India does not have it, but various countries have it actually. South Korea. So that very popular boy band, one of its members is now going to serve in the South Korean armed forces, right? So those who are diehard fans would be feeling bad about it. Secondly, all those who are fans of these Marvel and all these movies, you must be aware of Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot uh, also served, because she is from Israel, she is served in the Israeli special forces. Then countries like Iran have compulsory military service. Cuba has it. Chile has it. Algeria, Angola, all these countries have it. Anyway, now a very pertinent question. So when it comes to compulsory service, state can impose it. Let us say your case only. You study very well and clear the prelims, then go for mains, clear the mains also. Finally, you're going for the interview, right? On the day of the interview, you have taken bath after 3-4 months finally, and now you are going to the interview, all dressed up in your best dress possible to impress the evaluators. And when you reach, or when you're going there, midway only at on some road, the police constable stops you. Say, wait, where are you going? Dressed up so nicely. You say, UPSC interview, don't disturb me. If I become IPS officer, I'll punish you. The constable says, oh, IPS. He says, do you know Article 23? You say, of course, I know everything. That's why I'm selected. He says, okay. Then you know Article 23, Clause 2? You say, of course. Do you know that do you know that state can impose compulsory service? Yes. For public purpose? Of course. And do you know that under Article 12, the police is also part of state? You say, of course, I know. You are a part of state. Article 12, Ajay Hasia case. Understand? Now the policeman says, do one thing. This drain, the drainage system here is clogged. Clean it right now. I am the state. I am imposing compulsory service on you for a public purpose. Please clean this drain right now. Can this be done? If not, why? Can this be done? A for yes, B for no. Oh, some innocent people say yes. No, it can't be done like this. But why? What's the reason? Military service only? It is not mentioned military service only. It is mentioned compulsory service for a public purpose. Right to dignity. So those who clean the drains, they have no dignity. Somebody is cleaning the drains, right? Do you see somebody sweeping the street every day? So that is not dignity. Written order. Okay, he'll sign and give to the order. No problem. What if he gives a written order? Against for the society? What is this? Public purpose, cleaning the drains is a public purpose activity. And compulsory service. Manual scavenging, cleaning of drains does not come under manual scavenging. Sweeping of roads is not manual scavenging. Judicial permission? Why? What is judicial doing here? Okay. So far, some of you have mentioned it correctly. It's not compulsory. What is not compulsory? By president's order. Where is it mentioned? How are you thinking all these things? Service? What is this service? No, compulsory service will be decided by state, not by you. How can you decide what is compulsory service? State will decide, right? You can't decide it. See, it's a very simple reason. The simple reason is that this compulsory service can only be enforced, as people like Yash and Sudhanshu mentioned rightfully, by a law. Only through law. So the policeman is actually giving up an executive order. Imposing compulsory service of any kind requires a law passed by the legislature. The executive has no such authority. You have to make a law because this is an exception to fundamental right. So in all cases, exceptions of fundamental rights are always there through a law, right? Don't forget this. So law is required. Okay. That is it with respect to Article 23. Now, coming to Article 24. So what is Article 24? Article 24 refers to child labor. So we know very well that there is prohibition of employment of children in factories, etc. This is the Article 24, which says no child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engaged in any other hazardous employment. Okay. So for this, there is a proper law also. The law is called Child Labor Regulation and Prohibition Act 1986. And when this law was made, kids were not allowed to work or banned in 18 different occupations and 65 different industrial processes. Okay. One simple question. A, yes, B, no. Can you employ a kid for domestic purpose as a servant in your house? A yes, B no. Can you employ kids under 14 as domestic servants? Okay, great. Lot of you have said no. And those who said yes, you'll be surprised that it is not allowed since, I mean, it's been 17 years now. This is the law which was passed originally to ban employing kids in various activities. But in 2006, the law was modified and now child labor is banned in domestic help, roadside dhabas, tea stalls, spas, etc. And in 2016, this law was modified again. And now employing kids under 14 anywhere is banned. You cannot employ a kid who is under 14. It also obstructs with his right to education. Okay. There are only two exceptions. Exception number one is that the kids can be employed in the film cinema industry, audio visual entertainment industry. There they can be employed. Number two, they can be employed in a family run enterprise. Meaning, if say the father runs a vegetable shop, then maybe the kid can be there to provide some help, but not as a full-time employee. And this employment should not interfere with the kid's studies. Okay? Otherwise, you cannot employ kids under 14 anywhere. Apart from this, the same law also made a change. It created a new category of people or kids. These kids are called adolescents. Adolescent. 14 to 18 years age group. These kids will not be employed in what we know as hazardous occupation. What do you mean by hazardous occupation? It basically refers to three things: mines, inflammables, and explosives. These three are the areas which are called hazardous areas or hazardous processes. If you want to know which are the exact industries, you can download the Factories Act 1948 PDF, see the Schedule 1, you'll find the entire list of all the industries which are called hazardous. What is inflammable? What is meant by inflammables? Inflammables refers to those things which catch fire easily are called inflammables. So such industries like say match stick industries, coal, iron ore, paper, bangle making, glass making, all these industries you will not employ kids between 14 to 18. Okay? If you are found doing all this nonsense, of course there is punishment. What is the punishment? The punishment is 6 months to 2 years of jail. Secondly, it can also be a fine. The fine can range from 20 to 50,000 rupees. Okay, this is the punishment. That's it. We are done with Article 24 also. Now, see, I always mention this and it's very important. You will find this happening on a lot of occasions across the country where you will see that a lot of kids are employed. Okay, whether you go to some kind of roadside dhaba, whether you go to some remote shop like this. You may find kids employed cleaning plates, etc. That is all banned. Actually, it's not allowed. It's actually illegal. It is an illegal activity. Or begging on the streets, being forced into begging on the streets. But my suggestion would be, don't take any action on your own. You please click photographs and report to the police, or upload on the website of the Ministry of Women and Child Development. They have this column there where you can upload this complaint on the pencil website also, or you contact some NGO like Kailash Satyarthi runs an NGO, Bachpan Bachao Andolan. Contact them. Don't take action on your own. So this is actually a true incident a few years back. So when I used to tell this in the class, some enthusiastic person, she actually went and did something on the road, some beggar kid, and then she came and told me, sir, you said that it's your duty as a civil servant and as a future civil servant to complain. So what had happened to her was, she caught hold of two kids who were begging, and then she told them, come on, I'll take you to the police right now, come, we have to complain. And then the kids started shouting, kidnapping, and people came there. What is happening, please don't do all this, right? If the kids start shouting, because the kid has no understanding, your life could be in a serious threat, and a lot of cases can be filed against you. So it's nice to be very motivated, but the right track is important. So from that time, I have made my duty to tell you also this, that don't take matters in your hand. You are not some law enforcement agency. You can only inform and complain. That is a duty of any informed citizen, to just inform the concerned authorities to take action. Okay. Now, solve this question first, and then we'll move forward. Great. 74% have marked this correct. Some of you again done the same mistake which you did yesterday. Again, the same old story. Which of the following are envisaged by the right against exploitation? Right against exploitation. Which two articles? 23 and 24. What is this article? This is 23. What is this article? 17. Can't be the answer. Remove 2. This is gone. This is gone. This is gone. You have the right answer. That's it. This is article 29. This is article 24. Remove article 17. Article 17 is a part of right to equality. It is not exploitation. I am repeating once again for those innocent people who are still not able to understand. Article 17, untouchability, is a part of right to equality, not right against exploitation. Okay. Now, moving on to a very interesting group of rights, freedom of religion. So, what is this freedom of religion? Before this, a poll time. So no right, no wrong answer, but I'm choosing some option because I had to choose an option. So, how many of you believe in God? Type A if you believe in God. You believe in God, you believe in some ritual, you believe in some spiritual power, whatever. It's all called belief. If you believe that there's some magical power, there's some supernatural power, some energy, mark A. If you feel there is nothing like this at all, then type B. There's no right or wrong. Oh, I give 30 seconds. My God. Okay, so a lot of you do believe in God. I'm sure at least till UPSC examination, definitely. So then I think a disclaimer is required here. Disclaimer is that don't feel offended. If by chance a statement is made by me which does not align with your values and belief system, it's okay. It's after all a belief system only, right? So, and God will forgive me if I make some mistake. So you also should ignore it. Leave it to God. Okay, so freedom of religion, articles 25 to 28. We have 4 articles, starting with article 25. Which is the right that you will enjoy. This right is available to everybody. Coexist, right? Coexist is a very nice tattoo concept, right? You can use this as a tattoo also. Not on visible places, please. Tattoos on visible places will not go down well in UPSC. Though there is no such mention anywhere, you should not have a tattoo. But if an IAS officer has a big tattoo on his face only or on his neck only, will not look nice. So avoid it. Article 25. Freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion. Freedom of conscience. One word is conscience. What is this freedom of conscience? We'll come to it shortly. And free profession. What is meant by profession? What is meant by practice? What is meant by propagation of religion? So, now one more thing. We have seen this particular point in various fundamental rights, that every let's say article 19 only. Article 19 has 6 clauses, but clause 1 gives you rights. Clause 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 impose restrictions. Look at article 22. They gave rights first and then restrictions. Every article that you have seen, it gives us some rights and then restrictions. But this article 25 is very unique. It's completely reversed. The article starts with a restriction: subject to public order, subject to morality, subject to health. But where is the right? Wait. Firstly, restriction. And to other provisions of this part. So all other provisions subject to them, these are all restrictions. This, and this. They are all restrictions. Subject to public order, morality, health, and other provisions, all persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience, right to freely profess, practice, and propagate religion. So, what do you mean by all these terms now? What is meant by other provisions? Give example. Other provisions of which part are we talking about? Part 3. Part 3, we have just seen part 3. So all the things you have seen in part 3, they are all restrictions on this right. So your freedom of religion is actually subject to Article 21, Article 22, Article 19, Article 18, Article 17, Article 16, Article 15. All these are examples only, right? All provisions of part 3. Okay? Now, what is the meaning of all these words? First up is conscience. So conscience is a very interesting concept. Conscience basically means you have a right to develop any kind of relationship you want with God. You believe God is in books, good for you. You believe God is in temples, Good for you. You believe God is in your parents, God is in somebody you love, God is in UPSC, God is in some cricketer. It's totally your choice. You talk to God, God comes in your dreams. We don't care. Enjoy. You are free to mold your relationship with God in any form, any manner you want to. The only condition being it should not violate other fundamental rights, it should not violate public order, it should not violate morality, it should not violate health. Okay? Now, second thing is profess. You also have a right to profess. Profess or profession means to proclaim publicly. If you are a Hindu, you can say, I am a Sanatani. If you are a Muslim, I'll say, I am a Muslim. If you are an atheist, you can say, I'm an atheist. Right? So you have complete right to publicly profess or proclaim your religion in the country. No need to hide it. Depending on circumstances. No. But on a serious note, there is no need to hide it. You can frankly tell your religion to anyone, everyone. And there are various visible manifestations of our religion. For example, Sanatani can say have a tika. Muslim can say may wear a skull cap. Some religions force you into following some mandate to discipline you within the religion. And there are some things that form a part of the religion that if you don't read or if you don't follow that, then you are not following the religion. Right? For example, it is not mandatory for a Sanatani to wear a tika. It's okay. It is not mandatory for a Muslim to wear a skull cap. It's okay. But it is mandatory for a Sikh to carry a kirpan. Kirpan means a knife. That is why in Article 25 only it is mentioned as an exception or an explanation also that wearing and carrying of kirpans, this is a kirpan, shall be deemed to be included in the profession of Sikh religion. So Sikhs will be allowed to carry a kirpan. Okay. So in the metros, at airports, etc., you may not be allowed to carry, or not may, you are not allowed to carry any weapon, even if you take a nail cutter. Sorry, you are not allowed to carry that nail cutter also. We know very well how sharp the nail cutter's blade is. We know. You can cut nothing with that, but still you are not allowed to. But a Sikh is allowed to carry a kirpan. Now, of course, they will carry a symbolic kirpan. They will not carry a proper machete to kill somebody. No. It's a part of the religious practice. So they carry a symbolic kirpan, a small kirpan of sorts. That is sufficient. Okay. This is there. Number 3 is practicing your ritual. So you are free to practice whatever ritual you want to practice. Nobody is stopping you. Again, I am repeating, the only condition is it should not violate public order, morality, and health. Okay? Nitin, here the health is of individual or others. Everyone's health, including your health. Now, you may say, sir, then what about fasting? What about rosa? Bhai, all these things are good for health actually. They're not bad for health. Eat less, it's good for health. But if you fast unto death, if your religion says that don't eat, don't drink, kill yourself, that is not allowed actually. So that is not allowed and that would come under violation of Article 21. Now, some of you may say here, but sir, Jains are doing Sanlekhna, Santhara. That matter is pending in Supreme Court. Okay. As far as Jains are concerned, if there is any Jain here, please thumbs up or yes. Not a single Jain. Okay. One Jain. Of course, Jains are rich people while they prepare for UPSC. They are running businesses and all, enjoying life. But on a serious note, Jains do practice Sanlekhna or Santhara, of course. But that is actually pending in court right now, that case. Because Rajasthan High Court had given a judgment that you can't practice this. And that is more like a part of achieving salvation. right? And Jans, even if they say go to the Maharaj or do whatever, it is more to bring their way of living in tune with no less and less of life's pleasures, whether it is for some minutes every day, switching off the fan, not using any kind of electrical appliances, sleeping on the floor. Those things are basically to move towards God and moving away from world's pleasures, right? So these things are okay. And fourth, very, very controversial, propagating your religion. What is propagate? Marketing your religion. So transmit or spread by exposition of its tenets, meaning spreading your religion, marketing the doctrines of your religion. You are allowed to market your religion. Don't worry. Don't cry. Spread your religion. Okay? Arjun, I just mentioned that. I said this also, that you don't need to carry a machete to kill somebody. A symbolic kirpan, a symbolic kirpan. Do you understand? Symbolic. Like a small symbol, maybe. That is symbolic enough to be allowed. They'll not be allowed to carry a huge weapon. If you want to practice your religion, it should be within the guidelines of morality, health, and public order, of course. So they will carry a small kirpan, hopefully, which is a symbol of the actual kirpan. Okay? School like Khalsa Public are included or not? Sakshi, what is the meaning of this? I don't understand. School like Khalsa Public are included. I don't know. Reframe the question. Are you clear on this? Conscience. This is written as conscience, pronounced as conscience. Conscience, conscience, conscience. Profession, practice, propagating the religion. Don't be so happy. Now comes the real part. Second clause of the same article. So yes, you can enjoy all these rights, but nothing in this article shall affect the operation of any law or shall prevent the state from making a law. So state can make a law for what? To regulate or restrict any economic, financial, political or other secular activity which may be associated with religious practice. Are we clear? The state can regulate or restrict any economic activity, any financial activity, any political activity, or any other secular activity which may be associated with your religious practice. For example, if your religious practice says you have to run a hospital or a school. Now, if your religious group runs a hospital, runs a school, etc., running a hospital is not a religious work. Even if a hospital is being run by some religious group, the state can regulate it. You can't say, no, this is my hospital. I will have all the religious people here as preachers. They will be doctors here. No, sorry, you can't. But your religion is your personal activity. But when a religious group starts running some school or college, that is a secular activity, right? So we can regulate that. We can make a law to regulate that. Are we clear? Then, providing for social welfare and reform. Please remember this provision. Nothing in this article shall affect the operation of any law or shall prevent the state from making a law. Okay? Providing for social welfare and reform or throwing open Hindu religious institutions of a public character to all classes. This means what? State can make a law to provide for social welfare and reform in your religion. So whatever is your personal religious belief, it's very nice. But if your religious belief violates anyone's dignity, violates anybody's liberty, freedom, etc., the state can make a law and bring about social reform. Are we clear on this? If, let us say, a man has the advantage of or the abuse of triple talaq, right? And woman does not, inequality, or maybe it's derogatory, then the state can interfere and can make a law and remove it. Are you getting this point? So nothing is absolute here in your religion. The moment we find out that your any practice violates somebody's dignity, we can interfere. This is India. It's not USA or France. In those countries, the concept is different. Those countries say no interference. Your personal drama. Do what you want to do. In India, we say sorry. Enjoy your rights in public space also. But if we find that some kind of social reform is required in your religion, we will interfere and make a law. Remove some ritual. That's allowed. This article is what defines Indian secularism, which separates Indian secularism from other countries and their concept of secularism. Okay, we'll come to it shortly. One more thing, throwing open Hindu religious institutions, basically throwing open Hindu temples for everybody, all sections of Hindus. And here Hindus refers to Hindu, of course, Sikh, Jain, or Buddhist, all four communities. So now, no denial of temple entry in these places for all these people. Sakshi, in propagate schools of specific religion, customs are included. Yes, Sakshi, that is allowed. We'll come to it. That is Article 28. Abhishek, if all Indians accept only one religion, then what about secularism of India? But who is saying accept one religion only? Who is asking you to accept a religion? Namita, sir, it was during the security check of medical exams, Muslim girls were asked to remove hijab, else were not allowed in the exam hall. Is it justified? We'll come to that. Just the next point is that only Article 26, that hijab and Sabrimala, will discuss that shortly. Are we clear? Article 25, everybody, right? You have right. Priyanka can deny Muslim entry into temple. Yes, you can deny Muslim entry into temple. Okay, because throwing open temples to all classes and sections of Hindus is mentioned clearly. So you can deny an entry to a certain temple, in a certain temple. Okay. Now we'll discuss this issue first, and then we'll discuss or try to define secularism. First up is right to propagate and right to convert. What is propagate? Spreading, marketing my religion. Do you think we should give people right to convert? What do you think? Yes or no? Again, wait, 10 seconds. A for yes, B for no. There's no right and wrong answer. I'm just choosing one option. I have to choose one option. Otherwise, the poll does not launch. So I'm randomly choosing one. A, if you feel religions should be allowed to convert others, and B, you feel no, conversion should not be allowed. Oh, a lot of you say it should be allowed. Okay. On what grounds? Tell me. Right. On what grounds? What do you think is a rightful conversion? What is the right way to convert? Tell me. Do you think paying money? Okay, yes, very good. Yeah, change of conscience. Okay, Nitin, Nikhil, Shalu, Vipin, Sakshi, very good. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty surprised and really happy to see this approach. Amazing. Janvi, Saroj, beautiful answers. Exactly. This should never be forceful, etc. But I have a belief system. If I believe some other god is better, I should have the complete right to change. But of course, nobody should force me. It should not be purchased. It should not be through some allurement. That's there. Very good answers. See, this right to propagate or spread religion. Now, this is a part of some religions only. You will not find this propagation in, since a lot of you, I believe, with name are Sanatani or Hindus. So you or your religion does not allow or does not have any kind of concept of spreading the tenets of religion. So you may not understand it. But some other Abrahamic religions, like say Islam or Christianity, they also have this additional task of spreading religion world over, bring other people in their fold, so bringing them on the right track because they have gone the wrong path, on the devil's path. So that's there. So a lot of religious groups do believe in propagating their religion, and if I, let's say, propagate my religion, the underlying logic has to be to convert. Imagine if we have a Byju's marketing team. Remember, you all got phone calls to join Byju's. You still get phone calls, right? So many phone calls. Now, if the Byju's marketing team is told, call people, explain and market about Byju's, but mind you, nobody should join Byju's. What kind of marketing is this? What's the point? The point of marketing my religion is that others should come and see that it's amazing, please join me, right? This is a problem. That if you don't allow people to convert, then it makes no sense. So this matter actually came up first in two states, Odisha and MP. So these two states made some anti-conversion laws. Now, as far as these anti-conversion laws are concerned, MP and Odisha. So MP being the second state, 1968, and Odisha being the first state, 1967, they made laws on anti-conversion. These laws were challenged in the court, and this matter went to Supreme Court, 5-judge bench. Justice A.N. Ray, the same judge who was promoted by Indira Gandhi, he was the Chief Justice then. This case became known as the Father Stanislaus case versus Madhya Pradesh, 1977. In the case of Father Stanislaus, what we saw was his right to propagate. Supreme Court said does not include right to convert if conversion is obtained or done via force, fraud, or allurement. What is the meaning of force? We understand. Use of force, physical, etc. What is fraud? Cheating somebody and converting them. What is allurement? Luring somebody into joining your religion. So Supreme Court said, yes, you convert, but conversion should not be obtained on these grounds. Please don't obtain conversion on these grounds. Now, you may say, sir, allurement simply means giving money and it should not be allowed. Fair enough. But the whole point of allurement is also this point, this fact that let us say if somebody comes to you today and says, please join my religion, it is amazing. If you join my religion, you will clear UPSC. And you join. Is it not allurement? Or if I say, join my religion, not right now, but after you die, you have an amazing afterlife. Not right now. Sorry, I can't make any change in life right now. Right now you suffer. But when you die, trust me, you'll have an amazing life. Afterlife. Is it not allurement? All these conversions in our country are happening only on this. After all, it's just a belief system, right? No religious or no religion can prove the existence of all these things. right? It is just belief. How strongly you believe. You know, people say, no, I had that experience, but it was your personal experience. I just want to tell all the people who have had some experience like this, why don't atheists have this experience? Or why are only Hindus having experience here? Or why are only Christians having experience there? Or Muslims somewhere? If you are born in India, it's more likely that you are Hindu. If you're born in, say, Saudi, it's more likely you are a Muslim. If you're born in USA, it's more likely you are a Christian. So it depends on where you were born, right? So of course, and where should we stop? So eventually, it is my belief. If I believe in this God, that's it, and I want to spread this doctrine. So my doctrine is as good as yours. So if I try to tell you that please join me, I also have no proof of this happening. I can't prove it, right? So the whole point being, if I can't prove it, then is it not allurement? Then everything is allurement. Though Supreme Court's meaning of allurement may have been payment of money, but they have not defined it. And that is a problem. The problem in this judgment is vague words. Supreme Court should define these words properly. And I'll tell you something which is absolutely abhorrent. It's wrong to purchase anybody's conversion through money, through force, especially through money. It's degrading. When you go to a poor person who's suffering, who has no food for his family or her family, and you tell them, your kids will have food, join my religion. They would join your religion, they would join any religion. Whatever pays them food, they'll join it. You have taken the advantage of somebody's adversity and you have converted the person. That's the worst form of conversion. No God would allow this. But that is what you have to stop. Buying somebody out because of their social or economic situation, forcing conversion upon somebody. But this judgment does not stop these things. It is a very vague kind of judgment. And because of this, what has happened? We saw a spate of laws in the country on anti-conversion. This actually opened floodgates for all these laws. Like immediately, Arunachal Pradesh, it made a law in 1978 on anti-conversion. We have seen cases of Himachal Pradesh making a law in 2019. We have cases of states like Gujarat making a law, I think, in 2003. Or states like Chhattisgarh making a law in the year 2000. UP, MP again recently. And trust me, on all these laws are extremely important in one thing. All these laws require, conversions require permission from state authorities. So, if you want to convert, you have to give a notice to DM, notice to SDM that, sir, I want to convert. Why? Why the hell should I give notice to DM to convert? It's my choice, right? My conscience. But no, the law says you have to give notice. And it can be 15 to 60 days notice, prior notice that I want to convert. Then they will inquire whether conversion is genuine or not. What is genuine? How do you know what is genuine? Your words are so vague. And there are also punishments. Punishments for helping conversion. What is the meaning of abetting conversion? If somebody wants to convert me, convince me. If I'm convinced, I'll convert. Why should the person be punished? That's his task, to convince others, right? You can't punish somebody for the marketing skills. And the punishment ranges from jail 1 to 5 years, fine. I mean, if you practice untouchability, the fine is a petty maximum 2000 rupees in case of repeat offender. But here, in some states, it is up to 50,000 rupees. This obsession has come because all thanks to Supreme Court's very poorly framed judgment, because they use random words. And this is the current situation. So you have a right to convert, but the restrictions are so many that even a petty district magistrate, see, in the realm of fundamental rights, a DM or an SDM is a very petty official. We are referring to fundamental rights of an individual, the most sacrosanct rights. If these rights can be restricted by a very small official, then are we truly enjoying these rights? It is a bigger question. Rather, we should focus on those conversions which are being purchased and bought. So we are not focusing on that. We have made random laws which are largely meant to abuse certain people or certain communities or categories. Random use. If I don't like you, arrest. Otherwise, it's okay. Do what you want to do. So this is there with respect to right to propagate and right to convert. As of now, right to propagate does not include right to convert if conversion is obtained via force, fraud, or allurement. Otherwise, it's okay. Right? So this is a complete sentence. We can't have a yes or no question here. You can't say, sir, do we have right to convert? I can't say yes. I can't say no. I will say, if conversion is obtained through force, fraud, or allurement, then no. Otherwise, yes. So that's there. This is all about right to convert. Let's take a quick break. After the break, we'll discuss secularism first, and then we'll come to Article 26, where we'll be discussing about the Sabarimala issue as well, and what exactly has gone wrong in that judgment. Break, please. Come back at 11:45. Let's continue. Maithili, in my opinion, caste discrimination plays a major role in Hindus being converted to Muslims. Uh, the so-called upper caste never gets converted. Maithili, you are right in that sense that, of course, the upper caste rarely gets converted. Uh, but sadly, the caste discrimination does exist in Muslims also in different forms. The Ashrafs and all, they control everything. So it is just that maybe the people at the lower level are not aware that the discrimination will continue. Or even look at how the Saudi Muslims treat Indian Muslims. Right? So Saudi Muslims don't treat us in the same manner and respect that they treat their other Saudi Muslims. So we are treated differently. So that is there. It is just that people are not aware that their lives will not have a significant improvement if they convert. Anyway, okay. So this was Article 25. Now coming to secularism. So I believe when we're discussing SR Bommai case, I had mentioned this point that when Supreme Court was asked that, sir, my lords, please tell us. Please tell us as to what is secularism. And my lord said, secularism is a very elastic concept. It is best left undefined. See, this word secularism has a definition. Firstly, the definition of secularism comes from the West because it's a Western concept. It refers to strict separation between state and church. Church symbolizes religion in the West. Strict separation. State will not interfere in your affairs of religion. We will provide no support, no hindrance. This is what is known as the Western model, which is largely borrowed from this definition only, that no interference. State will not interfere in religion. No favors, no support whatsoever. No hindrance whatsoever. No hindrance meaning no obstruction whatsoever. This also means no protection whatsoever. If a larger community tries to overpower a smaller community and their religious practices, state will have no interest in controlling that. If within a religion there are some provisions which violate or which are against the dignity of an individual, the state says it's your personal problem, don't come to me. Religious problems, don't come to me. This is the Western model, a very negative concept of secularism where state and religion are separate, two different things. In fact, in some places like say France, etc., they also are passing provisions to say that your religion, your symbols, private space, public space, no religion. Okay. India, on the other hand, has a very distinct model. Indian model does not work on these lines. Indian model says, see, here state has no religion, That is, of course, there. Apart from it, we deal with religious freedom of majority and minority. Deal with religious freedom of majority and minority. Apart from it, one very important uh, element is that there in Western model, the state does not support or create hindrance. In India, we support all religions equally. Support all religions equally. But the most important element of Indian secularism, which separates it from the Western concept, which actually is the crux of our secularism, which actually shows that India is way better placed to protect all its people, is the concept that state can interfere. So we believe in principled intervention or principled distance. Anything can be said. What is principled intervention? Selective interference. This symbolizes selective interference, meaning we can selectively interfere in your personal religious matter if you are trying to practice any ritual which violates somebody's dignity. We'll interfere. Sorry. Whether you like it or not, we'll interfere. Otherwise, we maintain safe distance. This ensures that every group, every community, even marginalized people, their rights are protected. They feel safe. They feel secure. We will interfere, we'll engage with religion negatively to oppose any kind of tyranny also. If you try to find that a majority community is enforcing its religious practice on minority community, we'll interfere, saying no, line drawn. So this is there. So this is what defines the Indian model of secularism. Principled intervention. This is the beauty of Indian secularism, right? And see, as far as secularism is concerned in general, or in our country, if you find that this model does not work, or you find that in the recent times there has been some increase in uh, some communities fighting too much, it is not just an increase in recent times. It has always been there. It is just that you are now more exposed to this kind of information. That's it. It was always there, right, as a concept. So this entire idea of Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb that people talk about, that intermixing of various elements, that was a very nice way of trying to end the differences. But that difference is there, it's okay. I mean, the difference should not result in animosity. So religious diversity is the beauty of the country. And we constantly are being told religious tolerance. Why should we tolerate? Tolerate is such a negative word, right? Tolerance should not be there. Appreciate, and even if you have, say, you don't have a belief system to accept somebody's belief, it's okay to let them be in their own space. And the failure of people's understanding of other person's belief comes from three major pillars. So whose task was it to inculcate the element of respect for every religion? Number one, family. That's the first element. And largely families are the ones where people learn, right? Learn the basic elements of, oh, don't talk to him, don't eat there, don't sit with him. So that feeling of separation starts when you in the family only. So family as a pillar, as an institution, has failed completely. Number two, the second element is school, education system. It has also failed miserably because in our schools we are never taught all these things. It is just no, it is confined to some kind of moral science class on every Friday. Last class is moral science class, full enjoyment, full marks in the test. That's what it has boiled down to. Honesty is the best policy kind of nonsense. So students are never being told on the basic elements of religious practices being followed and the underlying meaning of it. That is why we fall prey to WhatsApp University. If somebody today, let's say, asks a question, oh, is what is being taught in madrasa only religion? This shows that you had nobody told you ever that madrasa is just a school with additional element of religious teachings. Or, oh, are all Hindus practicing untouchability only? Of course not. The whole point is Hinduism only about caste system? So we have to understand the basic tenets of it. And we have to understand the context of each and every change made in the society. So schools have failed. Third pillar is what is causing the most harm, and that's the political system. It's the task of our leaders to ensure this uh, animosity goes away, but they have helped a lot in creating animosity. We have to, if there was an award to be given to somebody who could give insightful idea on how to create divides, I mean, Britishers would have to come and conduct, learn something. Our leaders can give some coaching class to Britishers also on how to create divide in the country. Okay. So these are three pillars or institutions which should have had the task. And then add to it our other organs, the great media. The media, what is media? Media's task was to inform people. But now, because media needs advertisements, which come through government mostly, biased, that's it. And if you also look at the core, see how things have changed. There are two things in a religion. Understand this point here. If, say, this is a religion, there is some central premise to every religion. Okay? This is what is referred to the core. At the core of every religion are the same things: universalism, humanism, same things, nothing different. The difference is in the periphery, boundaries. What is that? What is different? Dress is different, place of worship is different, food habits are different. Where at the core things are similar, our focus is never to tell people, let's see, at the core religions have the same kind of thing. Every religion teaches the same thing. There is convergence. The divergence is only at the periphery boundary, where you can actually find a lot of divergence. Our focus is solely on that only and never on the core. So if you have selective focus and you are out to find differences, you will only find differences. So this is there. Anyway, Indian model and Western model, very important. For further information, I would also suggest please read chapter 8 from this book called Political Theory. I am sure you must have read the book by now because I told this in the first class to read the book. So, like diligent aspirants, I am sure you must have read this book by now. So, chapter 8 is on secularism. Please read the book again. Time for honesty. How many of you have read this book? Type A. Not read it, type B. Okay, great. At least you are honest. But honesty won't serve the purpose. You have to read the book also. So please do. Please read the book before the examination at least. Okay. Now, moving on to Article 26. Article 25 is an individual's right, your personal right to practice your religion, etc. Article 26 is a group right. Groups collectively practice this right. Okay. So as I said, 25 is meant for individuals, 26 is meant for groups. Oh. So this is Article 26. Subject to, again, same concept. Here also, we start with restrictions, public order, morality, health. Subject to public order, morality, and health, every religious denomination or any section thereof, religious denomination group, every religious group has a right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purpose. If you are a religious group, you have a right to maintain your religious institution. Number two, very, very important, look at this. Right to manage their own affairs in matters of religion. A religious group has a right to manage their own affairs in the matters of religion. Okay. Now, as an Indian citizen, I don't have a fundamental right to property because Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause F repealed. But a religious group has a fundamental right to property. Look at this. A right to own and acquire movable and immovable property. Okay. And D, to administer such property in accordance with law. Okay. So this is with respect to Article 26. Every religious group in this country, has a right to manage their own affairs in matters of religion, of course, subject to public order, subject to morality, subject to health. They have a right to property also. It was this right which was being violated in the case of Keshwanand Bharati. So Keshwanand Bharati's case, this was the right which was being violated. Kerala had made the law and the rules to take away this right under the First Amendment Act, which Keshwanand Bharati ji had challenged in the court, the Ednir Mutt priest, that if you take away my religious property only, how will I generate funds and resources? So this is Article 26. Now, since I have said, is tax imposed on religious place? Tax will not be imposed on religious place. What kind of tax? Some temple will pay some tax? No, not that. And if you have to impose a tax, you can impose tax on every religion. So that cannot be selective as a process. Shalu, practice process defined in constitution? It is not defined. See, if something is defined, I'll tell you it is defined. How can you define a practice? There are lakhs of practices. Do you think it is possible in the constitution to define religious practice? Not possible. Article 26 for minority religious groups only. Why? Why for minority only? I am telling you, all religious groups, every religious denomination has this right. Where is minority mentioned here? Minority will come to that. 29, 30. Don't confuse. That is separate. Ignore it. Right now, it's for every person who comes India. Every person in India, right? Now comes the question that is very, very important. What will be the level of interference? To what extent can we interfere? Extent, the limit. Because you are saying that by religious group, manage your own affairs. If you are telling me as a group that I can manage my own affairs, then to what limit can you interfere? Sabrimala. Classic example of violation of Article 26 Clause B if the state interferes. Because then you are not giving me a chance, an opportunity to manage my own affairs in matters of religion. So what is Sabrimala issue? For those who have no idea, so in our country, if you ever visit, say Kerala, you will find that we have the Sabrimala temple, which is considered to be the abode of Lord Ayappa, and it is located in the Periyar Tiger Reserve, that is in the Western Ghat mountain range. And as far as Lord Ayappa is concerned, see, Lord Ayappa is basically a child god, or I should say child lord, because he is a 12-year-old lord, and he is a son of Vishnu in his avatar of Mohini and Shiv. And apart from this, the temple was constructed by Rajshekhar, the king, and Lord Appa is also called Manikandan. So this is with respect to Lord Ayappa. And as far, oh, sorry, my bad, double P should have been added. And when it comes to this temple has a practice, since Lord Ayappa is a celibate Lord. Celibate meaning this Lord has been practicing Nastic Brahmachari. So he is a celibate Lord. That is why women were not allowed to enter the temple or come near the Lord, of course. So later on in 1960s, the Kerala government, not the temple authorities, the Kerala government passed a specific order, and based on that particular order, Kerala public worship rules, there is a specific rule called Rule 3B. Under those rules, the Rule 3B, it was said that women who are menstruating, so basically a woman who is menstruating is a woman of a reproductive age. So the point here is that it is not the temple but Kerala government's public worship rules. This is Rule 3B. Now, the original law, the name of the law is slightly longer, but that is of no concern to us. Okay, it is the Kerala Hindu Places of Worship Authorization of Entry Rules, is what is the full name of the rules. That's of no concern to us. Now, under this Rule 3B, the Kerala government for the first time gave an age criteria. It said that women between the age of 10 to 50 years will not be allowed entry, because the Lord is a brahmachari, Nastic brahmacharya. So reproductive women, so they have considered a very broad age. Of course, so most girls will not get their first periods at the age of 10. It may be 12, 13, 14, but they have taken a broad age. This age comes from Kerala government, not temple. Temple did not allow women entry directly. So this modification of menstruating women and reproductive cycle, etc., comes from the Kerala government, not from the temple. Anyway, so women of the age 10 to 50 will not be allowed entry in the temple, because it will obstruct with the Nastic Brahmacharya practice of Lord Ayappa. So now, in mind you, in 1991, Kerala High Court upheld the non-entry. So this was originally upheld by the Kerala High Court. It is not that it directly went to Supreme Court. In 2006, this group called Young Indian Lawyers, Indian Young Lawyers Association, they filed a case, a PIL, stating that this denial of entry violates Article 25 because it is denying people entry. It violates Article 14 also. Because why are you denying women entry when men are allowed? It's an unreasonable classification. Why treat men and women differently? Uh, the first problem here is the petitioners only. See, if I don't believe in religion, I will never truly be able to appreciate your religious practice. And trust me on this, whatever religion you follow, whatever ritual you do, if I don't believe it, I'll find it funny only or absurd. What is this folding hands, reading prayers? What is this? So if I don't believe in it, I will never truly appreciate your emotions and respect for it. That's actually a harsh reality. I may try to understand it. Okay, it's your practice. But truly understanding the limits of it, I can't because I don't have a belief in it. As simple as that. Hence, the petitioner's interest also is very important. I mean, it was more of a troublesome litigation only. Because had women raised this concern on their own, women who wanted to enter, it would have been a more genuine petition. But randomly, some lawyer association files a petition. We feel that this is more like trying to attract more attention. Frankly, anyway. Now, this matter finally was decided in 2018 by Supreme Court. 4:1. Judgment came on 28th of September 2018. September 2018, 4:1, meaning 4 judges gave judgment, one was opposed to it. They said this practice of denying temple entry was unconstitutional and exclusionary. Exclusionary and unconstitutional. Okay. So they allowed the entry of women by striking down the rule 3B as unconstitutional. Let's take a poll here. Harm if you feel that women should be allowed entry into Sabrimala, press A, others press B. There is no right or wrong answer. I have to choose one, so I'm not expressing my opinion. I'm just randomly choosing one. A, if you feel entry should be allowed. B, if you feel no entry should not be allowed. Okay. So that is not the right answer. It's just I had to choose an option because without choosing an option, I can't launch a poll. Fair enough. Can you give me reasons, those who say yes, entry should be allowed? Reasons, please. Let's see. What are your reasons? Kunal, will come to that. Equality. Because of rights. Okay. Gender are made by God, then why to differentiate? Gods are equal for all persons. God cannot say, does not say, can't worship me. Lord Hanuman is also brahmachari. Lord Hanuman is not practicing Nastic brahmacharya. Don't give that argument. That is not appreciated. Nastic brahmacharya as a practice is different, and Lord Hanuman being a brahmachari is different. No discrimination based on gender. Like men, every woman have also right to worship. Due to rights, equality, equality, equality. Practice of regions or religion shall not be restricted to people. Gods don't make rules. We human make rules. Okay. Okay. Jyoti's argument is very valid. Confusion between only 4 days of menstruation entry or for not for all days. So it's for not for all days. It's for all days. Okay. If the god was brahmachari, the woman should not touch idol. Why not touch idol then? I mean, why to stop there? Menstruation is a natural process. This is discriminating women. It's a power of women to give life to people. Nothing wrong. No. Menstruation is not a problem here. That is the misconception. It is reproductive age. Who is saying menstruating women are not being allowed? Women who are in the reproductive age are not being allowed. And what is a proof of that? Menstruation. Okay, great. Let us now understand Supreme Court's judgment and what is right, what is wrong. In the meantime, others can also respond who say women's entry should not be allowed. What's your reason? I'll read it later on. Supreme Court said, number one, temple entry is not allowed. Temple entry is not allowed. Shalu denudes women of freedom of worship. First thing, fair enough. Number two, the Supreme Court said state can bring reform. Article 25, clause 2. That was the wrong statement to use because judiciary is not a part of state. State can bring reform, not you. Number three, Supreme Court said the idea of autonomy, liberty, and dignity is being violated. And Supreme Court said that there is some stigma being attached to menstruation. Like you have fallen prey to this misconception, Supreme Court also. And what went wrong completely in the judgment was untouchability. Supreme Court said this is untouchability. Treating women as untouchables, not allowed. So one judge who opposed it, Indu Malhotra, she rightfully said that this is not untouchability. Untouchability is a particular word used for scheduled castes only. Now, other judges said, but where is it defined? Rightfully so. Rightfully so that it is not defined. But don't you know what is untouchability? It is not untouchability. So, where Supreme Court went wrong was three things. Number one, introducing the concept of Article 17. So, I'll just write here some issues which need to be looked into. Use of Article 17. Please don't dilute Article 17. Article 17 is meant for a specific purpose for people who have been suffering for generations. Don't use it anywhere. Tomorrow, if you go and say, come on, shake hands with me, and somebody says, I can't, will you cry untouchability? Don't make a joke out of somebody suffering for 3,000 years. Number one. And Supreme Court is expected to be more logical in this. It's like they're finding faults. It is not defined anywhere. It can be used anywhere. Number two, a big misconception on their part was this entire concept. No, judges also said that how can this is God? How can God's brahmacharya be violated because of entry of women? So we have to remind the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court, that this is India. Here we differentiate between lords and gods, unlike in the West, where gods can do no wrong. The Western religions, the Abrahamic religions, believe in the supremacy of God and God doing no wrong. In our country, lords, Devi Devta, God, Bhagwan, two different things. We have to use two different words for them. That's why I'm telling Lord Ayappa, not God Ayappa. There's a difference. Lords do have their follies, do make mistakes. They're born and then accordingly behave accordingly as all humans do. So you cannot treat Lord and God in the same fashion. So misconception on the basis of this use of word. So this issue of Lord versus God. And lastly, the biggest problem is the authority of the court. Now tell me frankly, whether women should be allowed or not, or any, forget this practice, any other ritual that you are practicing in your religion, is it right or wrong? Who decides? Do you think Supreme Court has the knowledge, the technical experience to decide on these matters? Are they experts in matters of religion? No, they are not. They are not experts in matters of religion. Supreme Court has no right to decide it. The will of the people is represented in the majority of the country, the parliament. The parliament should interfere. Who are you to make all these judgments? Let the parliament make a law allowing entry. We'll follow it. You have no expertise to understand the intricacies of such issues. So that is where they went wrong. And this problem has come from 1954. 1954, there was a case called Shirur Mutt case, where a 7-judge bench, Supreme Court said that we will decide what is essential in religion, what is not. So somebody asked me, sir, are the practices defined? Now I'll tell you. Practices are not defined. In terms of Article 25, what rituals can you follow? Are mandatory, are important. Who decides? Courts decide. Are you an expert in all these things? This is completely absurd as a judgment. And Supreme Court said, we are going to decide what ritual will be allowed under a constitution and what will not be allowed. Based on what? Look at this. Based on doctrines of religion. We have to question them. Have you read the Vedas or the translations only? Are you experts in Sanskrit? That's a sad reality of our historians also. When this Allahabad High Court, this judgment came in Ayodhya case, when the court asked people who are opposed to this Ram temple, submit your points. And then great historians whose books we are studying, right, for UPSC, they were asked, are you experts in archaeology? They said, no, we don't know either Persian or Sanskrit. Then who made you expert? To understand these religious texts, you have to at least have the knowledge, working knowledge of the language. Reading some obscure translation made by some Patnayaks, you will feel, oh, I am educated to understand religion. No, you are not. At least have the basic understanding of Persian to understand some book, or say English to understand not just English, classical English to understand what is mentioned there, or Sanskrit to understand these things. So we need prior knowledge to understand these texts. Supreme Court has no such knowledge. Number 2, evidence. What is this evidence? And people's behavior. So I will observe people's behavior and then pass a judgment. So if people's behavior is discriminatory, I will justify it. What kind of logic is this? If people's behavior is discriminatory, so people's behavior was also that we should not allow entry of Dalits into temples. Should we continue with this? Your arguments are all false. You are saying practices existing since time immemorial, old practices. See, all religions were framed in times which were deeply patriarchal. That is a reality. That is why they are highly male-centric. So if you try to revive any old practice and read those old customs, you may find that they are slightly tilted towards males because of those times. You can't rely on them. And look at the Indic fold, the Sanatan fold. For people who believe in Sanatan, you will find that there are so many differences in rituals you practice. Vast differences. There is no similarity in almost any ritual that a Tamilian or a Bengali practices. Nothing. Forget Tamil, Bengali. You go to any marriage ceremony. when the groom and bride are getting married, women will be sitting in some corner and watching the ceremony going on. Let's say the priest says to the groom or bride, take flowers in left hand, some rice in right hand. Women will start arguing. No, 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 no. In my days, it was flower in right hand, rice in left hand. Somebody else says, no, no. In my days, it was camphor in right hand, red flower in left hand. But in one family, there is no consensus on what is the right ritual. What are you relying your judgments on? What is it based on? That is why I say that judges are now assuming a theological mantle, which they are not expected to do, right? I mean, due to this, the opinion that a judge is more powerful than an entire religion and is a voice as strong as God is what is happening, right? This is a problem. Parliament is the right authority, the will of people to decide these things. We have to modify this essential religious practice judgment of Shirur Math case. Supreme Court has to move out of this. This is not their forte at all. And let me also help you understand this point. As far as the entry of into temple is concerned, when it comes to discriminatory practice, or some people say that menstruation is being treated as untouchability, the same menstruation is also worshipped in the same religion, not some other religion. In the same religion, if you go to Assam, Kamakhya temple, if you ever get the opportunity in future, please do. You'll understand the importance of menstruation and the respect for it in your same religion. Most of you believe in God, so you'll understand it. So how can you call some practice as discriminatory or untouchability if the same religion respects and worships that practice in some other place? So, and number 3, very important, there are a lot of other places, other customs which men are not allowed to perform. Now, should we protest for that also? A very simple practice, putting vermilion, sindoor on any goddess. Men can't do it. Now, should men start protesting that I also want to put vermilion on the goddess? That's a custom. It is just that it's just how things are. And sadly, for those who want the entry, they have no interest in going and practicing the entire penance of 40 days, right? It's not a place where you go casually and watch and enjoy things. Place of worship has a sense of respect and dignity to it. It's not a place where you go and enjoy, right? It's not some kind of, how do you put it? Some theme park that you go and visit and have fun. And most people who live there, their response was no, the practice needs to be respected. So what do we believe in also is a bigger question. Our belief should be aligned to a religious practice, and if I don't believe in the practice, then do I really believe in the God also? So I will believe in God only if it suits me. It's selective belief. So, and eventually these issues need to be resolved by the parliament. Sadly, our parliament does not have the spine to pass an order like this. Allowing entry or not, they will never do it. Because if I do it, all the people who follow religion are angry. If I don't do it, all these woke liberals are angry. What do? Keep silent. Pass the burden to Supreme Court. Anyway, this judgment has been challenged now, or review is going on. And now the matter has shifted completely. So now review petition has been filed, not for Sabrimala only, but there is a 9-judge bench which is deciding now on this element of whether women should be allowed in these places of worship or not. So now the question is the denial of entry of women into places of worship. Denial of entry of women in place of worship. And if somebody feels that that custom does not respect my belief, to hell with the custom, I won't go there. As simple as that. So now the entire question is Sabrimala, then this the Parsis. So amongst Parsis, If a Parsi girl marries a non-Parsi, then she's not allowed entry into a fire temple. Or this practice of female genital mutilation amongst Daudi Bohra communities. So that's also there. See, this is a very weird reality. Daudi Bohra communities amongst Muslims are seen as one of the most progressive communities, and they have this ritual or practice of female genital mutilation. So these things are always a part and parcel, right, of various aspects and activities. So this is Sabrimala. There is no right and wrong here. I would request you don't take sides because you may not understand. Jyoti, not allowed, not for 4 or 5 days, not allowed, right? That is why I said it is not about menstruation, it is about reproductive age cycle. So they are not allowed only. So prefer not to take very strong side, even if you have some strong belief, because lot of issues are involved. And this question will not be asked in the main examination, guaranteed. But in the interview, if they ask for your opinion, my suggestion is that please ensure that you mention these points, multiple elements to it, and always shift this to the parliament. Let the legislative will of the people decide after detailed discussions with various stakeholders. That should be your standard answer. Please don't deviate from this. However hard they want you to deviate, because you will fall prey to it. You will fall prey to some kind of trap. Whether you choose entry or not, you will fall prey to it. Most of you will not have the detailed understanding of religious customs and cultures of that place, so you will fall prey to it. The members there are very educated, well traveled people, so they know these things. So your standard response has to be, the legislative will of people should decide ideally after detailed discussions with multiple stakeholders. That's it. And this is not a wrong, this is an appropriate answer, a very politically correct and genuinely correct answer. So please don't take sides, very risky. And just 2 points on the hijab ban thing. See, as far as hijab ban is concerned, firstly, the judgment is now there in front of the case, is in front of 3-judge bench, because this Muhammad Arif Jamil case of 2022, where Supreme Court 1:1 gave a judgment, a split verdict was given. The matter is pending in 3-judge bench. So this ban has been said to be violating Article 25, Article 19(1)(a), and right to privacy. Article 25 because it is being seen as a right to practice your religion. So profession, right of profession, because profession means visible manifestations of how I showcase my religion in public. So if I am, say, a Muslim, I wear a skull cap, or as a woman, a hijab, to showcase that I belong to the Islamic community. Article 19(1)(a), because people are saying it is also my way of expressing myself, my identity, which is also a part of my freedom of speech and expression. Number 3, right to privacy, is because if I don't want to expose myself to other people, I have a right to privacy. Now, there has been a case way back on cow sacrifice. So Hanif Qureshi case. So cow sacrifice, was it mandatory part of Islam or not? Like, say, for Sikhism, carrying kirpan is mandatory. So similarly, was cow sacrifice mandatory or essential religious practice in Islam? Because what is essential in your religion will be allowed. We'll only remove those things which are not essential. So in 1958 Hanif Qureshi case, Supreme Court has said that cow sacrifice is sanctioned in Quran, but it is not obligatory. Sanctioned, allowed, but it is not that you have to sacrifice a cow and only then are you practicing Islam. So in that judgment, Supreme Court simply said that we can only look at something which is obligatory, not sanctioned. If you're allowed to do something, it's okay, we can remove it. But if there is something which is an obligation on you as a Muslim or as a Hindu, etc., that you have to do this in your religion, that is called essential. So the Supreme Court had said that cow sacrifice is just sanctioned as an act to express your Islamic faith. It is not mandatory. So they had removed that point. Now, the argument here is that unlike triple talaq or say cow sacrifice, hijab is actually mentioned in the Quran. And they say it is the farz of Muslim women to retain the same. Uh, if you read the exact verses, there is a slight difference, and it all boils down to interpreting the verse. And that is where, again, the courts are incompetent. Now, whether it should be allowed or not. See, frankly, the bigger point here is hijab being forced on somebody? See, if it is being forced on you, we are all up for you. No forceful wearing of hijab. But if a woman wants to wear a hijab, then who am I to question her? It's like, I am the benign father. I am telling you, no, it is wrong. You are being suppressed. You don't know only. I will tell you are suppressed. Hurry, who am I to tell you you are suppressed? If you feel that, no, I want to wear the hijab, I feel more safe, more secure in it, you'll wear it. As simple as that. So let us not act as the liberators of oppression, because hijab may not always be an oppression. It can be choice also. Just like, let's not act as liberators of denial of entry, because most men would not want to enter the temple on their own also, right? Let's not force them. Let that choice be there. So in that sense, hijab may not always be oppressive. It can be choice also, but if it's being forced, that is going to be the line that should not be crossed. As far as in places of, say, schools, etc., is concerned, ideally we should not have had that provision. It's okay if somebody wants to wear their religious symbol, they should. But the point is that if you are trying to compare Article 25 with Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause G, legal language. Article 19, 1G is what? POTB, profession, occupation, trade, business. I am running my school. I have full authority to run my school in the form and manner I want to. You come here and say Article 25. I'll say, sorry, go and read Article 25. Article 25 says very clearly that your right to practice your religion is subject to public order, health, morality, and all other provisions of Part 3, including Article 19. So your Article 25 comes lower than my Article 19 1G to run my own organization. So legally, there's a huge problem. Legally, it is a big challenge for people who want to wear a hijab, because Article 19 1G is placed in a superior position than Article 25. That is why in this particular case, they have used other articles also, because solely if you use Article 25, Article 25 is the lowest of all the fundamental rights. It cannot compete with any other fundamental right. That is why Article 19 1A has been used. That is why right to privacy Article 21 has been used, so that I will then ask the court to evaluate 19 1G versus 19 1A, 19 1G versus 21. Because if the courts are asked what is important, 19 1G or 25, the court will say 19 1G. So these are legal games that that people play when they file a case in the court. Anyway, so that is all as far as our Article 26 is concerned. Finally, two very simple articles, 27 and 28, very easy to understand. 27 simply talks about freedom as to payment of taxes for promotion of any particular religion. So all those who have studied history in their school days, now please don't tell me that you're not studied history in your school days. You have. In your medieval India history textbooks, you will find this concept of jizya, right? Jizya, which was imposed on all the zimmis. Who are zimmis? Zimmis were the protected subjects, non-Muslims. So jizya was imposed, a special kind of tax only on non-Muslims. So the idea is that those kind of taxes will not be imposed in the country. No person shall be compelled to pay any tax which will specifically be used in the payment of expenses for promoting or maintaining a particular religion. Understand the dynamics of it. I, as a Muslim, will not be asked to pay some tax, and the money is being used to promote, all the Hindus, all the Christians, or everybody. No. I, as a Christian, will not be forced into paying a tax, the money being used for the promotion of Islam. Sorry. If you want, tax everybody. No problem. But selective taxation, sorry, that will not be allowed. Now, can government promote religion? It can equally. Does it do it? Yes, it does. It does do it. To give you a simple example, Kerala government, every year 46.5 lakh rupees are spent on the Travancore Devasam fund. Tamil Nadu government, 13.5 lakh rupees every year on the Travancore Devasam fund. Government of India has spent 10 crore rupees on the maintenance of infrastructure for the Amarnath Yatra route. Rajasthan government in 2017-18 budget, they had spent 38.91 crores on Devasthan department. MP, does MP not sponsor senior citizen trips to Ajmer? Gujarat, in Gujarat, the Muslim imams are on state's payroll. State pays salary to imams. West Bengal, same thing. State pays salary. You go to Bihar. In Bihar, there are roughly 4,000 madrasas, out of which 1,127 madrasas are being run by the state government. Karnataka, in their 15-16 budget, they had allocated 16.56 crore rupees for churches. Go to UP, 800 crore rupees was sanctioned for pilgrimage to Kashi, Mathura and Ayodhya. Not just this, 394 crore rupees to madrasas was sanctioned by the same Yogi government. Apart from it, they're also running a scheme. I think the scheme is called Pilgrimage Rejuvenation and Spirituality Augmentation Drive. That's the name of the scheme. Under this scheme, 1 lakh is given to each pilgrim for Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. All these things are being done by various state governments. This is all allowed. The idea is to provide convenience. And Supreme Court has said that if a very small part of any tax is collected, or which is collected, is spent on providing convenience to people, it does not violate the constitution. Don't go crazy. Oh, how this money is being spent? It's okay. 394 crores, 16 crores. This is peanuts. Not even peanuts compared to the total GDP of the country. This is nothing. It's okay. So we need not be obsessed. And this is not some new judgment. It's an old judgment. This judgment is the Praful Goradia case, where Supreme Court said that if a small amount of money is being spent on providing convenience, this is allowed. Okay, and just one point here. For those who do not know, there is something called Hajj subsidy. States, some states are still doing it, but center has stopped it. Hajj subsidy was basically given to Muslims to go on the pilgrimage Hajj to Makkah Madina. It was basically a subsidy of air travel, and it was largely a subsidy for Air India only, not for Muslims and all. So if you used Air India, you would be paid roughly 2.2 lakh rupees reimbursement of the entire cost of the airfare was done. And the allegations was that Air India used to overcharge the people almost 90,000 rupees. If you compare the fare of Air India and some other airlines, Air India's fare used to be 90,000 higher. Anyway, a lot of Muslims also wanted this removed because they said if you want to go on Hajj, it should be on your own money, own funds, earned money. Then in 2012, a two-judge bench in Supreme Court, Justice Aftab Alam was a part of the bench. They gave the order to the government that you have to eliminate Hajj subsidy in the next 10 years. And finally, in 2018, the Hajj subsidy has been removed, eliminated, and whatever money was being spent, roughly around 225 crore rupees, in 2017, the last known figure. That money is now being spent on education of minority girl child. So we don't have Hajj subsidy at the central level any longer. Okay, Article 27. Finally, Article 28. This aspect of religion, can it be taught in schools or not? Yes and no, depending on what school are we talking about. Okay, so freedom as to attendance at religious instruction or religious worship in certain educational institutions. Can I freely say I don't want to attend this religious instruction? Yes, I can. There are three types of schools in the country. One school would be state-run school, government school, clear-cut, outright government school. In government school, religious teachings or religious instructions are not allowed. Let me clarify. Religious instruction is not allowed in the sense that I will not be told what is the right process to practice read a namaz, or what is the right process to go to church and light candles, or what is the right process to perform some havan. That is called a religious instruction. If I am told on the life of Jesus Christ, or life of prophet, or life or the story of Ramayana, or life of Guru Nanak, that is not a religious instruction. That is teachings and learnings of moral science, lives of great men, gods, etc. So those are different things. Teaching about some story, some past, some religious figure, etc., is allowed as a part of moral science class. But telling me how to practice or perform a ritual, that is called religious instruction. This instruction refers to some kind of ritual. Okay, that will not be taught in government school. Now, for those schools which are given recognition by the government or receive government funds aided by the state, there it can be provided. So religious instruction can be provided, but not without the parents' consent. If the parents say, no, sorry, my kid will not attend this religious class, then you can't force the kid. And after you have turned 18, your consent is required. So in a college, you can simply refuse to attend. But if there is any school or college which is set up by a religious group only or a charitable trust, instruction will be allowed and you can be forced into attending that instruction class also. Okay, madrasas, for example, there it can be done. So these are the three kinds of three kinds of educational institutions, and the differentiation is based on who controls it. State controlled, not possible, or possible with permission. If it's controlled by a religious group only, then of course they're allowed to teach you instructions. This is Article 28. Shalu, not against, no, it is not against Article 27 because no individual community was being forced into paying a tax. It was not that Hindus pay a tax, money collected, Muslims go to Hajj. No. So that is what is not allowed under Article 27. Okay. So we are Vishwa, so the Hindu temples are taken under government Devasam board and the offerings are taken by government. Yes, Vishwa, this is actually a huge problem. So for those who are believers in religion, I think that should be your crusade, right? That why this selective differential treatment against Hindu temples without any proper justification. Government has no justification. They say possible misuse of funds. Where is the proof to have this allegation of possible misuse of funds? So this is a problem. Sometimes in the garb of being very liberal and woke, we don't understand the basic elements of what happens on the ground. And this selective control of certain temples because of the riches there is, of course, is violative of Article 26. Actually, frankly, it is. I mean, it is still surviving. Is a testimony to the court's complete insensitivity towards this issue. But what petitions have been filed? What can we do? We'll have to wait and see as to what happens. But extremely unlikely. And I would not suggest that other places of worship to be controlled. I would suggest that leave these temples also, right? The government should have no interest in controlling temples and places of worship, any place of worship. It is for the people to control and manage. So this is how things are. Sometimes, appeasement politics plays a role. Sometimes elections around the corner, vote bank politics is there. So these things do play a role in how you make provisions. And that is why I say the courts which keep on shouting that we are up for equality, etc., they also fail to perform. Now, the reason could be because of overburden. They're overburdened. So, of course, they are overburdened. Yes, Shalu, absolutely correct. Uh, the basic tenets seem to be violated here. But petitions are filed. We'll have to wait and watch as to what and how the story unfolds on the control of temples by the government. Okay. Now, moving on to the next two. One question, a very simple one. I think you should have now understood this. What can France learn from Indian constitution's approach to secularism? France is just a country. The idea always was, what can the West learn? The beauty of how we are able to protect our minorities, how we are able to protect the marginalized sections, how we are able to give space to every community to practice their religion, even in public places. That is the beauty of Indian secularism, which separates us from the Western model. So India has a positive secularism compared to West, which has a negative secularism. So you have to mention those things, compare, and give arguments in favor of how Indian secularism is way better than the Western form of secularism. And for this, again, I would request you read chapter 8 of political theory. This question has been taken from there only. In fact, that entire chapter is just like an answer to this question, right? So this is with respect to this very simple question, a 10 marker. So not too much to write. Last two rights that we have, 29 and 30, cultural and educational rights. Again, articles 29 and 30 are meant for citizens only. It is not meant for foreigners. So what is this? Any section of the citizens residing in the territory of India or any part of this country having their distinct language, script, or culture have a right to conserve the same. So minorities have a right to conserve their language, their script, their culture. We have seen this provision, I think. Tell me, please write under which article or which topic did we see the second clause of Article 29? Let's see. One guess is we saw it yesterday only. Or hint, sorry. President, right to equality, Article 19. '24, 14, no. Priyanka Javed are two correct answers. Article 15, Champakam Dorai Ranjan case. Madras government had a communal order. Remember? 2 seats for these, 6 seats for these people. And Champakam Dorai Ranjan could not get admission. And then Supreme Court cancelled the quota. Why? Because no citizen shall be denied admission into any educational institution on the grounds of religion, race, caste, language. We saw it yesterday only. This was the Champakam Dorai Ranjan case. And then the parliament modified the constitution with the first amendment act and said, no, we can make provisions, we can allow for reservation. This is Article 29. Lastly, Article 30. Article 30 talks about right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. So all minorities, whether based on religion or based on language. So very important observation. Indian constitution recognizes minorities. Indian constitution says that minorities can be of two kinds: religious linguistic. It does not define them, but at least recognizes them. So minorities not defined but recognized. Okay. So we have religious minorities. Religious minorities are on a pan-India basis, meaning nationwide basis, in the entire country. So if say Hindus are in a minority in say Punjab or Nagaland or Arunachal, you can't claim minority status. Minorities are calculated on the basis of your population in the entire country. Are we clear? So if Muslims are say 96% in Lakshadweep, we can't say they are in a majority. No. So as per census 2011, we have 6 religious minorities. Those are the largest being Muslims, 14.2%, then Christians, 2.3%, Sikh, 1.7%, Buddhists, 0.7%, Jains, 0.4% of the total population, and Parsis, 0.006%. Now, linguistic minorities are on a state basis. So this varies from state to state. But religious minorities across the country only, country-wide basis only. Okay. Second clause. The state shall not, in granting. So, first clause said that all minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. MEI. What is MEI? I'm repeating here. Minority educational institutions. Now, second clause says the state shall not, in granting aid to any educational institution, if the state is giving money to any educational institution, it will not discriminate just because some school is being run by minority, they get more money or less money. That can't be done. The state shall not, in granting aid to educational institutions, discriminate against any educational institution on the ground that it is under the management of a minority, whether based on religion or language. So, no special benefits to minority education institutions if funds are being given to you. Equality of treatment. Now, there was a very important case called TMA Pi Foundation case. TMA Pi Foundation case of 2003. See, every group has a right to manage and run a school or college. Okay, minority or majority. Clarification. Every citizen has a right to set up and administer education institution. It is not that only minorities can set up schools and colleges, everybody can. The idea is that, see, we have to preserve rights of minorities, but also ensure that standards of excellence are met, because you are not just running a school for your religious group, you are running a school, future of the country. You are training the kids. It's very important that there should be standards of excellence. Standards of excellence must be met. Okay. Now, when it comes to this provision of letting minorities run their school or college, we have a clarification here that yes, any aided MEI, meaning those MEIs which get government funds, see, they will have to admit some students from non-minority groups also. Okay. And the court has said that what percentage? that the respective state governments can decide. But the minority schools and colleges which are getting government funds, the state can impose reservation in that 10, 15, 20%. What is that? State can decide. Then all those MEIs which get government funds, the state can decide what will be the admission criteria or procedure, because we want the prevalence of merit, selecting students based on merit. See, the idea is that you have a right to administer your school and college. You don't have a right to mal-administer it. That is why the focus is going to be on ensuring balanced administration of your school or college. So for that, if you are getting government funds, sorry, we'll have to tell you what will be a right admission criteria to select students. And even for those MEIs which don't get funds, we'll have to keep on inquiring whether your admission procedure is fair, transparent, or not. Otherwise, sorry. So that is the beauty of this entire judgment, that minority educational institutions, and Supreme Court has said this earlier also. There's a very old case called Hanfia Arabic College case of 1989, where Supreme Court said every minority has a right to administer their school or college. You don't have a right to mal-administer it, mismanage it. Right to manage is there, not mismanage. And finally, the state can prescribe minimum qualification for teachers and principals in all MEIs, whether aided or unaided, I don't care. I will prescribe minimum qualification for all the MEIs, whether you are aided MEI or unaided MEI. Okay, so that is all as far as our Article 30 is concerned. We are done with our fundamental rights. Now we'll discuss right to property, and then we'll discuss the most important element of rights, how to protect these rights, which becomes the sixth fundamental right. So far we have seen all these amazing rights, but now comes a story of how to protect these rights. So after the break, we'll take up a discussion briefly right to property. What is the current situation right now? What was the origin? And then we'll move on to understanding Article 32, which is what as per Ambedkar, the heart and the soul of the Constitution. We'll take a break. Be back at 2:05, and we'll continue our discussion further. Break till 2:05. Break, please, guys. Priyanka, God's prayer, yes, it's allowed. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. God's prayer is allowed. Maulanas are paid by Waqf. It varies from state to state. Janvi, the conclusion in Sabrimala was the parliament or the legislative will, you can write if I dictate, the parliament or the legislative will of the majority should decide on such matters after detailed discussion with all stakeholders. Okay. That's all. Let's meet after the break. Break, please, guys.